Cousins for the win. Yes, it's all over. Cousins wins it at the buzzer.
The modern day big man has come a long way over the years. From being limited to only facilitating a team's interior scoring, the new NBA big man can score from just about anywhere on the court. Today's NBA coaches expect their big men to be able to shoot 12 to 15 foot jumpers at the very least, with more and more centers expanding their game to the three-point line as well. I look at DeMarcus Cousins as a player who essentially was the prototype for this position. Cousins is truly a unique talent on the offensive end. He can virtually score from every part of the field, allowing him and his teammates to maximize his skill set in the flow of the offense. Coming out of Kentucky after averaging 15 points and 10 rebounds per game, Cousins was drafted 5th overall by the Sacramento Kings. In his 7 seasons in Sacramento, Cousins was very productive, averaging 21 points and 11 rebounds per game. While Cousins' individual stats were excellent, his well-documented relationship with the team did not go as well. The lack of winning, as he failed to make the playoffs each of his 7 seasons there, combined with the fact that Cousins and management never really saw eye to eye, was what essentially led to Cousins' departure from Sacramento. The trade made by the Pelicans to acquire Cousins was very interesting. While teams were focusing on going small and acquiring backcourt talent, the Pelicans decided to trade for Cousins to pair with their superstar AD and form the most talented backcourt in the NBA. Now that Cousins finally had another All-NBA teammate, he could finally show the league he was a winner. In Cousins' first full season with the team, he was finally able to prove to critics that he was capable of playing winning basketball, as the team's win percentage was 0.563. During that season, Cousins was a monster, averaging 25 points and 13 rebounds per game. He was even shooting 37.5% from 3, which was above the league average. The only statistical knock on him that season was his high turnover rate, averaging about 5 turnovers per game. Also, if you'd really like to nitpick, he was shooting 47% from the field, which you would like for him to be a bit higher since he is a big man. Nonetheless, Cousins was arguably playing the best basketball in his pro career while managing to maintain a winning record. Unfortunately, just when things were finally going great for the 10-year center, he tore his Achilles in a 115-113 win over the Houston Rockets. The gruesome injury forced Cousins to miss the rest of the Pelicans season. To make matters worse, Cousins, who was in line to most likely sign a 5-year max with the Pelicans, had to settle for a 1-year $5.3 million contract with Golden State the following season. This was obviously due to the lack of interest Cousins drew from teams that were more concerned about his long-term health. What could have been an interesting playoff team with AD and Cousins ended way too soon. Now, with his new team, Cousins could focus on getting healthy for the second half of the Warriors season and prove to critics that he was still capable of playing high-caliber basketball. In his 30 regular season games with the Warriors, Cousins showed some clear drop-off, which could have been due to rust, as he averaged 16 points per game, which was the lowest since his rookie year, and also 8 rebounds per game, which was the lowest in his entire career. Aside from rust, it should also be noted that Cousins was no longer the first or second option on his team like he usually was, so this could have easily impacted his numbers. Anyways, Cousins managed to get through the regular season and was now ready to finally get his first taste of playoff basketball. Unfortunately for Cousins, a quadricep injury in his second game forced him to miss the rest of the West playoffs. However, Cousins did not call it quits as he rehabbed his way into playing in the NBA Finals against the Raptors. Looking at Cousins' playoff stats, he struggled in the 8 games he did play. Averaging about 17 minutes per game, Cousins put up 7 points and 5 rebounds per game on 40% shooting. His high 7 turnovers per 100 possessions also showed he might have not been entirely ready to come back for this level of competition. On the bright side though, it was good to see that injuries could not keep Cousins off the court. Here's where things get real sad. After signing a 1-year $3.5 million deal to help the Lakers compete for a championship, Cousins tore his ACL later that summer before the season even started. At this point, the number of injuries Cousins had now faced has just gotten ridiculous. Without surprise, Cousins sat out the entire year and was later waived by the Lakers. He has now even given word that he will not come back to play for any team in the restart of the NBA season, as he will focus his attention towards free agency. After facing this many lower body injuries in this short of a span, it's hard to see Cousins sign for anything aside from a 1-year, close to minimum deal. Now entering his 11th season at 29 years of age, it is also hard to see Cousins wanting to be part of a young, rebuilding team. So when looking at teams that Cousins can sign with for this next season, we should specifically be looking at older playoff teams that can use his skill set. Recently, former Kentucky teammate and Wizards guard John Wall told Mark Spears from ESPN's The Undefeated that although he realizes it's a long shot, he would more than love to have Cousins on the Wizards. With backup center Jan Mahimi coming off the books next year, it would be interesting to see if the Wizards do finally agree to Wall's plea and sign Cousins. Assuming Wall comes back healthy, the Wizards will arguably have a top 5 backcourt in the NBA, and adding Cousins to the mix would definitely make this team more interesting. Currently, the Wizards are 5 games out of the playoffs, so the veteran-led team does need all the help they can get. Another Eastern Conference team that was interested in signing Cousins prior to his agreement with the Lakers was the Miami Heat. While they did show interest that summer, it was prior to Cousins tearing his ACL. Also, within the past season, the still very young Bam Adebayo has emerged as a top 10 NBA center. Thus, it would be really hard seeing the Heat wanting Cousins, as they already have the spot locked up. The Boston Celtics would also be an interesting team for Cousins. Their entire starting 5, aside from the center, Daniel Theis, is either an all-star or a fringe all-star. Adding even 60 to 75% of prime Cousins would definitely be beneficial to the franchise that does lack big man talent and size overall. Looking at the West, the first team that comes into mind would be the Warriors. Obviously, Cousins already played for the team, so there is already an established relationship with management and teammates. Another shot with the Warriors may not be a bad idea for Cousins, since the main hole the Warriors do have is in their center position. Who knows, maybe Morey and the Rockets realize that playing without a true center is not a good idea. A healthy Cousins could easily fill that void, and would be a huge offensive upgrade from their ex-center Clint Capella. Plus, Cousins has already proven his ability to score from range, so it wouldn't be the worst fit to play on the Rockets, who do believe in shooting high volume threes. For Cousins, there are some major questions that must be answered. 1. How healthy can he be? Since leaving the Kings, Cousins has faced multiple season-ending lower body injuries, which do not bode well for big men in general. Health is the major concern here, as his body keeps seeming to break down. 2. Assuming Cousins is healthy, how good can he be again? Personally, I find it very hard to believe Cousins will be putting up 25 and 10 anytime soon, like he used to. Looking at the small sample size in Golden State, it was clear that Cousins still needed time to get back to his old self. Finally, will Cousins accept a lesser role? It was easier for Cousins to put his pride aside on the Warriors, since they had already won back-to-back championships, and he was also playing with Curry, Durant, and Thompson. His new team will most likely not be as talented. Cousins may even have to face the harsh reality of coming off the bench. If he still does want to play for a championship caliber team, this scenario is certainly possible. But would Cousins agree to this? Cousins has yet to receive that big payday he once hoped for, so keep in mind that Cousins could prioritize numbers over winning. Ultimately, there should definitely be some interest amongst playoff teams looking to add that one X-factor piece to their roster. Cousins will most likely sign for a 1-year close to minimum deal, so there won't be much risk on the team's end. For Cousins' sake though, let's hope he can stay healthy and add more achievements to his NBA resume. As always, let me know what you guys think. Do you think Cousins will be back to his old self? If so, what team do you think could most benefit from his skill set? Or where do you think he will likely end up?